Hello again. My name is Christerpher F. Coleman with the Business Intelligence Group. I'm a business leader, advisor, business coach. I help investors and organizations through due diligence processes, understanding the nuances of operations to help to see if we can get operational excellence out of the organization, or for investors, if we should invest in the organizations. And so recently I've been getting on YouTube, looking at some of the trendy events, whether sports or other trendy topics, and illustrating and digging out the business and career principles within them. And in this video, I want to talk about the Unrivaled League. And if you don't know, the Unrivaled League is a 3-on-3 full court women's basketball league that's been championed by Napheesa Collier with the Minnesota Lynx and Breanna Stewart, aka Stewie, from the New York Liberty. And they've come together, they put their resources together and created a league where the top talent from the WNBA can come into the offseason into a league where they can make at least six figures. Some of them had opportunities to invest in an organization to have stake into it. And they were able to play 3-on-3 basketball. And they also had one-on-one tournaments.
Situations where you want to save your foul and tactfully do it.
Game to 8, Collier, spinning, firing, give Queen Bee her crown, Napheesa Collier.
Something that the men should have been doing a long time ago. I would love to see one-on-one, like the old days when you were growing up and you played one-on-one or you played 20-on, whatever the case might be. And this reminds me of that. And this is a great way to compete without competing with the WNBA, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean is this is business principle number one. In business, you want to compete. There's a book called Blue Ocean, and it's Blue Ocean Strategies, and it talks about finding a niche, finding a strategy that you don't have to compete. And that's the best way to compete, is to find where there's no sharks in the water. If you were in a red ocean, that means it's a lot of industries. There's a lot of companies that are competing for the same customers, for the same dollar. But if you found a way where you can develop a product or service in a area, in an interest that no one is doing, well, you have all of the market share. And so the Unrivaled League doesn't have all of the market share, but it's competing without competing. And this is what I mean. I believe strategy is about where to play and how to win. They're playing in sports and women's sports, and how you win is doing something different. Instead of 5-on-5, we got 3-on-3. And there is a 3-on-3 league called the Big Three, but this is 4-court 3-on-3. And this is the best talent from the WNBA. And this is a league that's built by the players. It's a player by the players for the players. So they know all the various nuances of how things are supposed to work behind the scenes, what players really, really want in terms of facilities and things of that nature. And they're able to create an environment where players want to come. They're all friends. They've been playing basketball for a long time together, whether it's AAU. And so they want to support their friends. And so they're more likely to support, even at the beginning when maybe all of the I's aren't dotted, the T's aren't crossed, everything isn't perfect, but they're willing to support it because they want to support their friend. And so when you talk about competing, they're competing by having a slight difference. This is not 5-on-5. This is 3-on-3. This is 3-on-3 full court. And so it's not the exact same. So they're competing in a different way. It's a different product, and it's a substitution for the WNBA. And it helps players because a lot of players don't even make six figures. And so this is a way a lot of players that are really good can come into this league and make at least six figures. So if you don't know, the Unrivaled League, they have invested in some college talent. It says here on the post, it says Unrivaled presented by Samsung Galaxy just signed 14 of the top women's college hoopers to game-changing NIL deals. And so here are some of the players here of class of 25. And the beautiful thing here is that not only do they have this on their page, they also have their Instagram handles. And so they can get a lot of following. Maybe those that are maybe not as popular, they can get a lot of following. You got Juju there at the bottom, Sarah Strong, Flojo, Flo J. I don't know how to say her name. Comment below of how to say her name. Ozzy Fudd, and so Lauren Betts. So there's a lot of great players in the women's basketball in college. And the beautiful thing about this is that the Unrivaled League, they are investing in them before they even make it to the league. And so what does that do for Unrivaled? Well, that does a lot for them. But before we do, I want to go over and take a look at ChatGPT. What is NIL? Because, a lot of people might not know. So let's look up NIL. And this is a great principle for those in business, those who are in leadership as an entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur, is to always be learning. Always be learning. If you don't know something, no matter how simple or how much you hear it, if you don't know what a certain term is, and you should find out. This is the information age. There's no excuse for you not to know something. And so I put in the chat, how do NIL deals work? NIL deals, short for name, image, and likeness, allow college athletes to legally profit from their brand, their personal brand, while still maintaining NCAA eligibility. Here's the breakdown of how they work. What is NIL? Name, your identity, for example, Caitlin Clark. Image, photos of you, including on social media or in campaigns. Likeness, anything that resembles or represents you, for example, your silhouette, your signature move, or jersey number. All right. How do athletes make money from NIL? Athletes can earn money through, number one, endorsements, which means promoting brands. For example, Gatorade, Nike, local businesses. That's a great point. I did a video with Shiloh Sanders, and he's working at KFC. So that's some NIL aura going on there. Social media sponsorships, paid posts, or appearances on platforms like Instagram or TikTok. Merchandise, personalized apparel, trading cards, or NFTs. Appearances, being paid to attend events or camps. Autograph signing, memorabilia. Content creation, monetizing YouTube or podcast platform. Equity deals, receiving ownership in a company instead of a check. And so when you look at some of these players that's coming in, do they get an opportunity to invest or get ownership into Unrivaled? No doubt we know a lot that is going on with the Unrivaled League. And let me go back to the IG here. All right, so here is the Unrivaled Instagram page. They've been posting a lot recently, especially during the WNBA All-Star Weekend. And, some of the big news recently has been about these 14 players, college basketball players, signing NIL deals with the Unrivaled League. And I think that's great news. And this is something where you think about, has the WNBA or even the NBA, G League, has any of these organizations invested into the young players in college? And I don't know of any. If you know something, please comment in the description. But I think this is a great way to compete without competing, if you know what I mean, by signing the young talent. And this is something that I think is a shrewd and wise move, because I believe that the Unrivaled League has positioned itself with Napheesa Collier as well as Breanna Stewart to position themselves to be a substitute for the WNBA in basketball. Why? Because they're going through CBA negotiations that aren't going so well. And I believe that Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart and a lot of players who are in leadership positions, they know what they want to get paid. No doubt these players have been talking in the background, and they've worked with probably business consultants to really understand, what the reality is, and maybe what they want is not a reality. But a lot of times in making deals happen is having leverage. And how can you get leverage? Well, starting a league that does not but does compete with the WNBA is a great way to start. And so when you have somebody like Napheesa, Collier, and Breanna Stewart coming together, two great players in their own right that come together and create a league. One, there's been a lot of, I guess, just negative comments about it, but that's not easy to do. I mean, when is the last time you built something with your own money, finding investors, sponsorships, and then and having your peers come and support you? That's not easy.
Wonder why me, you, Brandon, none of us have never partnered together and became our own financial team and did investments together. Why do you think all NBA players, football players, everybody, we got to go to our boys' restaurant? It don't be multiple guys owning one spot. Y'all know how the NBA teams are owned. Y'all know how the NFL teams are owned.
Right.
They owned by their boys. Why we don't do that? The conversation can get really, really deep.
Let's get deep.
I gotta answer to that.
I'm going through that right now.
I play with a lot of guys. I'm just saying it doesn't. I play with a lot of guys.
Can I answer that?
And I'm a culprit of it. When I never thought that I needed nobody else because I had my own money. I was like, I don't need nobody else. If I want a business idea, I'm gone.
Can I answer that question?
But why don't nobody ever sit down?
No.
As a group. I like LeBron and D Wade and Carmelo and Chris Paul. They all say they jam boys. When they ever did something together? I'm just asking. Now they support each other.
Right.
Oh, D Wade got a new wine. LeBron got a new tequila. They gonna support each other to the fullest. It's gonna look great. Why it ain't all our wine?
Right.
Why all of us didn't invest in that?
Right.
That's really the question too when you get in there.
That's
when
how
you start to get in
grow.
those rooms.
And I really want to, say that I really appreciate Napheesa, Collier and Breanna Stewart for doing this because it's something that it's 21st century business. Like everybody should always have a side hustle. That's business principle number one. I noticed a long time ago that, someone like Steve Harvey had a job, but I remember him saying that he named all his shows after himself because you can't get rid of them. And I thought that was brilliant. But then you look at, I looked at, for example, different players. They have podcasts. Look at, people like Shannon Sharp. I look at people like Skip Bayless and just different personalities. They have their daytime job where they talk about sports, and then they have their nighttime job where they have a podcast or have something else going on besides their main thing. And the reason why is because when your main thing is not your main thing no more, what else are you going to do? And so there's so many things out there that you could participate in, so many different opportunities, but luck comes to those that are prepared. Those who are able to capitalize on opportunities are those that have positioned themselves to capitalize on them. And so I say everyone should be an entrepreneur. Even if you work for an organization, you love it, you should do something on the side. You don't have to make money at the beginning, but you should do something that you enjoy that's for yourself. I did a video with Junior Bridgman. He was a basketball player that played with the Clippers as well as the Milwaukee Bucks. And he's a billionaire. He's the fourth wealthiest ex-basketball player. And he's a billionaire, bought Jet Magazine, he owned a lot of Wendy's, a lot of Chili's, and has such a diverse portfolio. But the thing is, he played basketball during the season in the NBA, and then in the off season, he worked at Wendy's to learn the operation. Not that he wanted the money, but he wanted to learn something and figure out what he wanted to do after basketball, because that basketball wasn't going to be his main thing forever. So he began to forwardly think about what he wanted to do next. And he humbled himself and went into Wendy's and began to learn the operation, began to learn the business. And so what could you do? That's business principle number one. What could you do that is not your main job, not your main thing, but you can go and volunteer your time to learn the business, to learn the organization? What is a skill that you can develop? Maybe you want to learn marketing. Maybe you want to learn accounting. Maybe you want to learn content creation. What could you do? There's a lot of free things that you can do out there to learn. And you can go, I think it was Everbit, forgot the name of it, but there's so many things in your local area that you can sign up for that are free, where you can learn, whether it's photography or accounting, whatever the case might be. And you could begin to position yourself for something that can bring you income in the future. So that's business principle number two. In terms of the second business principle or career move is understanding that in the 21st century, competition should be about doing something original. How can you take market share without doing the same thing everyone else is doing? Maybe you take what somebody else is doing and you remix it a little bit. China is a country that oftentimes takes a lot of intellectual property and they just copy it. You don't want to do that. That's not ethical. But what could you do that you enjoy, that you could see that you can make a profit out of? You have the skill set to do it, the resources to do it, and then you just remix it. And I think this is what Unrivaled has done. And I think this is, business strategy 101 is where to play and how to win. And they're winning by remixing what has already been done. And the fact that they've signed these young players, this gets me back to my point where I was beginning to talk about earlier, is that with these young players coming into the league, they're able to position themselves if there is a lockout or a shutout, that these players, these senior players, we want to see what they're about. We want to see them at the next level. But if it's a shutout or a lockout, where would they go? Well, Unrivaled is here. And so they will get a lot of attention, because if basketball is going to be locked out or shut out, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, what is the next best thing to see on the pro level? It would be Unrivaled. And so with these new players coming in, they have millions of followers. They bring their following from college into this professional women's basketball league called Unrivaled. The league continues to grow. And if there is a shutout or lockout, all the sponsorships, all of the deals that the WNBA got, well, where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go to Unrivaled. And so they'll begin to grow and grow and grow. And this is what I've been talking about in all of my videos, talking about the WNBA and the Unrivaled League and the CBA negotiations. Been a lot of negative comments about, the things that are going on. I don't agree or disagree. Everybody has, their thoughts. But I like to keep things positive. I know there's a reality to certain things, to various things. And but the thing is, I don't have all the information. And so I don't know what the WNBA players are asking for in their WNBA negotiations. I don't know what they are, what they're talking about. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. And so you have Napheesa, Collier, and Breanna Stewart, who are co-founders of Unrivaled. They're doing something great. And I think they have great business sense and business acumen to start the league. And they're also vice presidents of the Women's National Basketball Players Association. And they are part of the leadership that helps with the negotiation on behalf of the players. And they position themselves to have a lot of leverage. And so if the players don't get what they want, they've created another vehicle or substitute for players to come into. And again, with these young players, they're invested in terms of NIL opportunities for those seniors to come in to the league. Even though they've created NIL deals for sophomores, juniors, and seniors, the seniors that are coming out this year, part of the draft, they have a place to go to. They can go to Unrivaled. And a lot of people want to see them at the next level playing against the top talent. And so I think Unrivaled, Napheesa, Collier, Breanna, Stewart have positioned themselves very well. I think that it's probably a 70% chance that it's a lockout or a walkout or lockout. I think we're at 70%. The only thing that's going to change, in my opinion, is that the last day, the last hour, there will be some negotiations had. I think that, honestly, I would probably make another video about this, but I think because the players have the leverage in these negotiations, ownership, the league, they have to acquiesce, they have to capitulate to the league for the demands of what they want. And maybe there's some ways to take away some things to save money on other areas, but to increase salary. And it seems like that's the biggest part, is they want the salary. It's probably not about necessarily the benefits, because they had t-shirts that talked about pay us what you owe us. And so it's about the pay. So it's not about the the other things, maybe the facilities. In the letter, they talked about the facilities amongst other things. But I think the salary is probably the priority. And I think if you take away some of the other things that they want and increase salary, I think that would be good. And this might be a season. When I say a season, just a period of time, not a WNBA season, but this might be this section of the WNBA's history. This might be something where the owners take a loss, and that this is time to grow. This is time to keep throwing money. You have to keep investing. This is not subsidizing. We're not subsidizing. We're investing. Keep throwing money. Keep throwing money. Keep promoting. And this might be another way to force the league to promote it better, to do better, because they want a return on their investment. I don't think the WNBA has invested in terms of promoting and marketing the league like they should. They have to do a lot better. I think there's so much room for improvement, and I think this forces them to invest even more, to promote even more when you give the players what they want. And as you begin to give the players what they want, and as you begin to give the players what they want, they'll be happier, and it forces the league to promote it better, which brings more eyes, which brings more viewership, which then ultimately, when the next CBA deal comes, now it's time for the owners to get what they want. And so maybe there's not a huge increase in salary on the next CBA deal. Maybe that's established in this CBA deal, but in this time, players get what they want. The next CBA deal, maybe it's 5, 6 years from now, 4, 5, 6 years from now, the owners in the league gets what they want, and there's a little movement from what the players want. So I think that's a good way to balance things out. But right now, I think the league, and again, I might make a video about this later, to go deeper into the CBA negotiations and some of the business principles in it. But because the players have the league, I think you have to capitulate to them and give them what they want. And as a result, it forces all of the stakeholders and shareholders to promote the league more and more, because that is the only way to make money. I would go into it knowing that you're not going to make money, but this is an investment to get viewership. Find all of as you negotiate with banks and investors, league, this is the league. As you begin to speak with these different individuals, understand what are the metrics that drive the decision making. And these are the metrics that you can work on between now and the next CBA negotiation. Get those metrics up, so when you go back to the drawing table or the negotiating table with investors and things of that nature, you can have the metrics to back up what you're looking for in terms of investment. Maybe, the last teams that came in the league, there was a franchising fee of $250 million. That is a signal to me that lets me know that there's still money to be made. I believe there are teams in the WNBA that are profitable. I think there's teams in the league that are at a loss. I think there are some teams in the league that are breaking even. And I think this is a way that the league can force, this is a way that teams can be more profitable, is by providing, great service to the players, by creating a great environment for the players, being a great organization. If you do that, I think, players can get what they want and teams can be profitable. Maybe the league as a whole isn't profitable, but the team can be profitable. And so that's all I have here on this video. Please comment below on what you think the Unrivaled League should do in terms of its league, in terms of how it continues to compete without competing with the WNBA. Please comment below of, do you think there's going to be a lockout or shutout? And do you think, the Unrivaled League was created on purpose and being smart and being forward thinking to position themselves, so if there is a lockout or shutout, the Unrivaled League will be the sole professional women's basketball league here in the U.S. Again, my name is Christerpher F. Coleman with the Business Intelligence Group. Please follow me on Instagram at ccolemanbiz, on X at ccolemanbiz, and on LinkedIn. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can find me at ccoleman144. Catch you in the next one. Peace.